So, on the subject of boundaries, boundaries are a popular uh, aim of many, many people, especially in the social media space at the moment. And it's become really, really in vogue to set boundaries. Boundaries are you creating expectations of what is acceptable to you within your experiential close surroundings. They are you deciding what is and is not okay within your space. And they also set the idea of a space where you are willing to tolerate a certain behavior or experience, and a space where you must exit a certain behavior or experience. All sounds really useful, doesn't it, so far? But as we start to realize the framework upon which we're living our lives, we realize that expectations are actually usually making us very miserable. We have expectations of our partners, of our environment, of the people we meet, and we create a very elaborate framework. In fact, society has created huge and elaborate frameworks of acceptable behaviors and unacceptable behaviors. Things that you think are right, things that you think are wrong, and therefore can expect others to do and say. We've even created a whole language, or many languages across the globe that have, hundreds of thousands of words, and yet we've created subsets of those words that it is not okay to say. So we don't expect others to say certain words to us because there's a subset of the languages that you just can't say to other people because it would be offensive, it would be inappropriate. Inappropriate is a great way to start to think about boundaries, because subjectively we can find it inappropriate for people to say certain things to us. We can find it inappropriate and offensive that people eat certain things or do certain things or go to certain places or exhibit certain traits or have certain things. We can find it inappropriate, and we can set an expectation that are not okay with people doing a whole range of things that they may do, but we could then say, I'm not happy with them doing it. And we would change our state of being if somebody breached our expectation and became or did something that falls outside of what we think is acceptable. And that's where the problem of boundaries begins, because expectations are the root of much resistance. If you want to notice your overthinking, your resistance to life, the difficulties you're finding in your life, many of that, or much of that, will be at the hands of your expectations. You'll be going into different places that don't look and feel the way you want them to. You'll be interacting with people who don't say the things that you expect them to, and do things that are unexpected. And you will decide you are offended. You will decide that they are inappropriate. You'll decide that things have happened that you feel should not have happened. And everything you feel that should not have happened is just stepped out of your expectations of a world that's totally unpredictable and that you can't control. But you would have decided that you should be able to control it, and you should be able to reasonably expect everybody within your space to behave a certain way. That's what expectations do. They create a framework upon which you can be happy as long as people and things behave the way you expect them to. But as soon as there's an unexpected event, then you are unhappy. And it is you who is unhappy. It is not the person who has offended you or has been inappropriate. It is You having set the expectation or boundary that is now unhappy because somebody has broken your expectation and stepped over your boundary. Wouldn't it be way easier to never have set the boundary at all and just to be very accepting that the world is unpredictable? It is an adventure. It is just happening. And whether you wish for it to be under control or you don't, there's no actual reason that it needs to be. It doesn't need to comply with your expectations or the ideas that you have thought up or adopted of the way it should behave. It doesn't need to comply with anything. Just because a group of people get together and subjectively decide that this is unacceptable and that's acceptable, this is right and that is wrong. If people do this, they are wrong. And if people don't do this, they are also wrong. This doesn't mean that it's wrong or right to do those things. It means that there is a group of people with an idea that certain things are right, certain things are wrong, and that those people are living within a world that they are trying to control. They are trying to keep themselves at peace by maintaining the behavior of others in a way that suits their needs, that suits their expectations of life, that keeps them unoffended. And many who set boundaries are ejecting from situations because people, places, or things step outside of their boundaries or expectations, what is acceptable to them. Yet, if you don't have the expectations, if you're not trying to control the world, not only is your life more peaceful and you don't have to strategize how to make everybody else fit, who does fit and who doesn't fit, who you'll be happy around and who you won't, but also you have the ability then to watch and observe, accept that the world is not going to comply with your expectations or boundaries, and to be peaceful all the way through any experience that you're having. You don't need to eject it because that's the world outside controlling your behaviors. And why would you want that to happen? Why is the world outside got anything to do with you? Why has it got anything to do with you, what others do or say? And why are you making an idea that certain things are acceptable and certain things aren't, when in actual fact all that will do is take your peace? This is not a suggestion of accept everything and people can do everything. It's not a suggestion that you have to accept different kinds of situation and that you can't walk away from them. It is the realization that you don't need to be affected in your state of being by any situation or anything somebody says or does. And as soon as you're not affected, you are free. You are at liberty to be anywhere, experience anything without creating an idea that it's right or wrong, or good or bad, or offensive or inappropriate. You don't need to live in that resistance. And if this life is one life that we live, or if it's many lives that we live, learning that you are in resistance when you set expectations of everything else, and you are not in resistance when you allow everything else to be exactly as it is, an unpredictable adventure, then you realize that your boundaries are self-defeating. They are not having an effect on the world. They are not having an effect on the other people around you. They are having an effect on your own state of being. And that means you don't need boundaries. You need not to create ideas about the experiences you're having, and you need to stay in peace. Because as you do, you are free. You can be anywhere, do anything, without having to work to manage every situation, to look a certain way or feel a certain way, or having to run away from any situation that doesn't just fit the long list of expectations you've created.